Welcome. Today we're diving into an absolutely incredible story called The Girl Who Forgot Everything. Now, right off the bat, I gotta tell you, this isn't just your standard tale about memory loss. It is a raw, emotional journey that somehow completely intertwines with a gripping, ancient mystery. We're gonna unpack exactly how this narrative masterfully balances a deeply human romance with some seriously high-stakes fantasy lore. And along the way, we'll explore the profound ways our minds and our hearts hold on to the things that truly matter. So let's jump right in.
Okay, I want you to try a little thought experiment with me. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, opening your eyes, and having absolutely no idea what your own name is. You don't know your family, you don't know your history, your mind is just a total blank slate. But somewhere, deep in your chest, you carry this undeniable, warm, familiar feeling of safety. It's this quiet certainty that you are loved even if you literally cannot picture the face of the person who loves you. Wild, right? Well, that is exactly the striking premise we're looking at today. And honestly, it sets the stage for everything that follows.
Part 1. Waking up with nothing. No name, no past. So, to really grasp the depth of the story, we've got to start at the very beginning. Our protagonist, Sarah Choi, wakes up in this softly lit hospital room to the sound of quiet beeping. Her mind is super clear but completely empty of recognition. And sitting right beside her is a man named Alex. The doctors diagnosed her with amnesia, which is a significant memory loss caused by the physical impact of a recent accident. Her everyday memories, totally wiped clean. But Alex? He absolutely refuses to give up. He knows Sarah's stubborn and he holds this unyielding faith that she's gonna find her way back, no matter how long it takes. Part 2. The Pieces of Memory. Rebuilding a Life. Now, as you can imagine, this healing process requires a massive amount of patience. Alex doesn't just overwhelm Sarah with a giant info dump of her life or force her to remember everything all at once. Instead, he carefully curates these tiny pieces of her identity. Check out how this timeline unfolds. On day 1, she wakes up with no name. But by day 2, Alex brings her coffee from this specific cafe on Park Street. He even jokes that it tastes terrible enough to clean a sink. But Sarah takes a sip and boom, she realizes she actually likes it. It's a visceral, physical memory. Then, jump to day 4. He brings her favorite book. Tucked inside is a handwritten note about a mountain path they once hiked together. And just through that simple note, Sarah starts to remember the color green, the feeling of the wind, and even the sound of her own laugh.
What this does is build a really profound psychological contrast between factual memory and emotional memory. The factual stuff, the names, the dates, the everyday details, that's all completely gone, lost in the accident. But the emotional memory, that remained completely intact. In fact, Sarah confesses that when she first woke up, she was only terrified for a single second, because almost instantly she felt a profound sense of safety with Alex. She didn't know his name, sure, but her emotional memory recognized him as her protector. It just goes to show you, the heart often remembers what the mind has temporarily misplaced.
And it's important to note that Sarah's memory isn't just magically returning in one sudden flash of light. It's happening gradually. It's developing slowly, by fine, almost imperceptible degrees. She actually describes it so beautifully in the story. She says it's like a giant puzzle slowly finding itself. You get a piece of a hike over here, a taste of coffee over there. It's this incredibly delicate process of reconstruction that demands so much patience from both of them.
Section 3. A Map to the Unknown. Discovering the Truth. All right, so about a week later, Sarah is recovering back at her apartment, and the story takes a massive, totally unexpected turn. Sarah, who is by no means an artist, absent-mindedly starts drawing just because she can't sleep. Well, when she finally shows Alex what she drew, he goes completely still, because she hasn't just been doodling. She actually outlined a map to 7 hidden cities, complete with a very specific carved symbol from a place called Mira. And just like that, we are instantly thrust out of a quiet medical drama and straight into some deep, ancient lore. We're talking her grandfather's secret blue notebook and this immediate, terrifying threat of being hunted by a group known as the Hollow Men. It suddenly clicks that Sarah and Alex aren't just friends. They're actually ancient protectors of a secret that has existed for thousands of years. Mind blown, right? And that twist brings us to a really foundational concept in this story: purpose. See, while Sarah forgot all the mundane details of her past, her fundamental reason for existing remained fully awake. She actually grabs Alex's hand and urgently asks him exactly how many days are left until the full moon. She just instinctively knows that getting into the second hidden city requires them to be there when the ocean tide is at its absolute lowest. She literally tells him, "I may not remember our past, but I remember our purpose."
Part 4. The Ancient Quest Continues. Into the Moonlight.
That singular sense of purpose perfectly sets the scene for what is an incredibly atmospheric climax. Imagine this. Under a massive, silver full moon, Sarah and Alex are standing on a quiet beach, and as the ocean tide pulls back, the moonlit shallows, the water right near the shore, reveals something impossible. Emerging straight from the sand and the low water are these ancient stone steps, completely covered in glowing symbols. And these steps lead directly down into the ocean, toward Thessia, the second hidden city. The visual contrast of that dark ocean water against the solid, ancient glowing steps beneath their feet, it's just breathtaking. But right before they actually descend into the water, Sarah shares a newly recovered memory that delivers a massive emotional punch. She remembers the exact feeling of discovering their very first city, Mira. She remembers the golden light, the fountain, and feeling like she had finally come home. But the most important part? She remembers looking at Alex in that exact moment and thinking, I am so glad it was you. Out of everyone in the entire world, she realizes Alex is her absolute perfect partner for this dangerous ancient quest. It's such a brilliant moment because it beautifully ties those epic fantasy stakes right back to their deep interpersonal connection.
Section 5. The Language of Memory. What remains?
As we start to wrap up this breakdown, we really see how this story brilliantly uses the concept of amnesia to examine the sheer endurance of love and duty. Think about it. When you strip away the names, the dates, all the tiny details of ordinary days, what is actually left?
Well, the narrative posits that the absolute deepest parts of us are unshakable. They're built from love, from courage, and from years of consistently choosing to be good. These core elements are deeply established and fundamentally, they're unable to be destroyed even when the mind completely forgets. Sarah lost her memory, but she kept an unshakable sense of direction and an unshakable trust in Alex. So, to close things out today, I want to leave you with a final, provocative question drawn directly from the narrative's conclusion. If everything else was washed away, what is the one memory you would never want to lose? It's a pretty heavy question, but this story really invites us to reflect on those unshakable truths in our own lives. Thanks so much for exploring this fascinating journey with us, and keep seeking out the knowledge that shapes who you are.